Welcome back to Talking Elvis. This is part 2 of the Memphis Chronicles, where I try to remember trips to Memphis and document my memories. Today I thought we could do a video about Elvis's homes, where the Presleys lived once they got to Memphis. It all starts on the 6th of November 1948, when the Presleys leave Tupelo, get to Memphis and move to 370 Washington Street. 2 days later, Elvis enrolls into Humes High School. He is 13 years old. When I tried to recreate this photograph, which was taken on Poplar Avenue, with the advantage of Google Maps, it was a very short walking distance to Washington Street, where I found the location. It's empty now. Taking this photograph and standing around, I realized more than ever that this area really was Elvis's hood. Everything is very close. Other places that they lived and his school. He would have known this part of town very well. In May 1949, they moved to Poplar Avenue. Again, it's a vacant space. You can see here it's on the left-hand side going towards downtown. I do remember a building from the 1980s. It was kind of skinny and tall and had a pointed roof. They stayed here until they were accepted by the Memphis Housing Authority to have an apartment at Laurel Courts. They moved into 185 Winchester on the 20th of September. They would stay there until the 7th of January 1953, the day before Elvis's 18th birthday. Formative years and a very important Elvis location. In one of my earlier videos, I shared the story of when myself and Mike Freeman broke into the house. Prior to the renovations and after it had become vacant, we went, pushed open the door and pulled up a piece of the original floor. I'll leave the link for that video in the description box. It's been completely renovated, so understandably, it doesn't have the old edgy feel that it used to have. But it is cool that you can visit there, and in fact, you can stay the night. I think it's a sort of Airbnb style. They had to leave in January 1953 as the family income had exceeded the amount accepted by the Housing Authority. They moved into 698 Saffanaras Street, right next to Humes High School. A 5-minute walk for Elvis to get to school in the morning. They only stayed at this address for a very short time, around 3 months. And you've guessed it, the house is no longer standing. From here, they moved to 462 Alabama Street, the most significant address outside of Laurel Courts. They say from April 1953, but on the 26th of March, Elvis goes to the Tennessee State Employer's Office, and on the application form, he puts his address as 462 Alabama. I have this very old photograph which I took on Alabama Street. I never did find 462. It became clear later that it's no longer there, having been replaced by the Danny Thomas Expressway. So to the best of my knowledge, the house was round about here somewhere. It is significant because Elvis stayed there until June 1955. It was at this address when Elvis first went to Memphis Recording Service. When he recorded his demo and where he was living when he recorded That's Alright, his first commercial release. In June 1955, the Presleys move again. They go to 2414 Lamar Avenue. I do remember walking down the side, taking photographs and going into the back garden. It was like that for many years until it became a nursery, a kindergarten. There was talk that the city of Memphis wanted to make it a historic site. And the last piece of news I heard about this house was that it had been badly damaged in a fire. If you know its current status, then do let me know. I'm not sure if it's been repaired or just completely demolished now. They stayed only until mid-September, and looking at Elvis's schedule, he's always on the road. He does get a week off in July, and he would have stayed there at that time. From Lamar Avenue, the family moved to 1414 Getwell, not really far from Audubon Drive, taking just another little bit of a step up. They stay until March 1956. Elvis has now signed for RCA, had his first recording session, and with the proceeds, the money he made from Heartbreak Hotel, he buys the family their first home in Memphis on 1034 Audubon Drive. It's significant because 1956 is Elvis's breakout year, and we have a lot of photographs of him at the house. You can see here in this picture that there is no wall and there is no fence. So this would have been added by Elvis along with the musical notes, something that would be repeated on a grander scale at his next house. I have this old footage of me at Audubon Drive. You can see the pool, and you can see also that the house is white. Not like it is now, it's green. And it also has the awning with a P on it. Audubon Drive is a very quiet residential area in East Memphis, but I remember myself and my friend Ian one year wanting to see the back of the house. We would have made our way into somebody's garden, climbing over a fence so that we could look at Audubon from the back. And I distinctly remember there being a stump of a tree, the bottom part of the trunk, placed up against what would have been Elvis's back gate. You were able to stand on it and look over into Elvis's pool. My guess is that that tree stump has been there since 1956. The house was bought by Mike Freeman and his wife Cindy, I think in the 1990s. My understanding is that the people that bought the house from Elvis lived there until Mike Freeman bought it. Mike moved in along with his wife Cindy, and luckily for us, he started to organize tours, especially during Elvis Week. I think it cost $10 to get inside. You would enter through the side door at the garage, which would take you straight into the kitchen and to the spot we have this famous photograph of Gladys. It was very apparent that the previous owner hadn't really changed anything at all. Old kitchen appliances, a very 1950s retro look and feel about the house. They had put up some wallpaper in a hallway, which when Mike took off, he found the original Presley wallpaper, which if I remember correctly, were poodles. Around 15 years ago, I received a message on Facebook from a gentleman who lives in New York. His name is Jim Searless. And he said, "Hi, you probably don't remember me, but I met you at Audubon Drive. Here is a couple of pictures. And I thought, cool, because I have no pictures from that day. We didn't have digital cameras back then, and any photographs that were taken, well, they appear to be long gone. So we have one photograph here of Jim, myself, and Mike in the kitchen, and one more of Mike and I at the pool. Unfortunately, the pool has been filled in now. Through Bill Burke, sometime in the mid-1980s, I managed to have correspondence with Barbara Hearn, Barbara Smith, as she is now. Barbara was Elvis's girlfriend. She was dating Elvis at the time he lived at Audubon Drive. Barbara is very familiar with the house. We have photographs of them here where they are listening to Don't Be Cruel. Barbara and I corresponded by email for a couple of years as she would talk about her Scottish heritage. And I was quite surprised that when we did meet in person, she remembered me straight away. I had a subsequent opportunity to go to Audubon Drive with Barbara, and perhaps my most favourite photographs from Audubon are these, which I took of Barbara. I asked her to take one shot at the tree and another one here at the mailbox. When we were there, I asked her, in 1956, what was the colour of the house? She looked and said, green. I remember thinking, I always remember it being white. The photographs we have of Elvis outside of the house are in black and white. Mike did sell the property a few years later. Audubon Drive has nice memories also because Mike used to organise pool parties. It wasn't uncommon to see Scottish fans in Elvis's pool. Mike did sell the house, and I've never been particularly keen on what happened after. It was no longer as welcoming as it was when Mike had it, and there was a fire a few years ago. Apparently and thankfully, the damage appears to have been quite minimal. The house is not big, and Elvis had built an extension at the back going out to the pool, an almost sort of den with a bar, and it has a real 1950s feel. I mentioned that there are a lot of photographs of Elvis at the house, including these ones at the fireplace, wearing his gold lamy suit. He was at Audubon for 12 months. In March 1957, at the age of 22 and a millionaire, Elvis bought Graceland. I won't cover Graceland in this episode, but I do want to mention this. I think these are 2010, when Graceland opened up the barn, the stables, for tours. It was the first time I think they had done it, and I don't believe they have done it since. But this was a very cool thing to do. You got to see Graceland from a different perspective. You can see here the photographs I took going up the side of the house, Graceland being on your right. You see the trailers, and going to the barn itself was very cool. There are all the names of Elvis's original horses still on the stable doors, and there is handwritten writing on the wall from Elvis, if I remember correctly, Scylla and EP. But it was nice. They had an exhibition on inside the stable where they showed some of his equipment for horse riding, including things like boots, which still had the mud on the soles. I went there with my son. It was a very cool thing to do. While we're on the subject of the stable at Graceland, I mentioned one woman in a previous video, my previous Memphis video, a woman called Beth Peace. I don't know what happened to her, but sometime in the 1980s, Beth invited me to a party at Vernon's house on Dolan. As you know, there was a gate that connected Dolan to Graceland property, which both Elvis and Vernon could use to walk back and forward. I was out there that night at the pool, and on the left was what you would call a storage room or a pool pump room. I'm not sure what you call it, but I turned the door handle and the door opened. I walked inside and it was absolutely jam-packed full of stuff that people would put in a place like that. A lot of it looked really tatty. There was lots of lamps, old picture frames. And I've always wondered if this all belonged to Vernon. The reason I mention this is I remember climbing up onto the gate because I wanted to see the back of Graceland at night. That's what I was climbing up there to see. And when I got to the top, the barn was right in front of me. And I have this vivid memory that it said, the House of Rising Sun. Rising Sun, Elvis's favourite horse, of course, and the song made famous by the Animals. But did I just imagine that? It seems very vivid in my mind. On the subject of horses, and while technically not in Memphis, but in Mississippi, there is Circle G Ranch. Elvis bought it on the 9th of February 1967 at the height of his buying and riding horses phase. And I have some footage here of when you could really freely roam around the whole area. You can see the bridge where the famous photograph was taken of Elvis and Priscilla. And you can see the barbecue pit. It says E on one side and P on the other. The last time I was there, the E and P have been completely chipped away. As I'm driving here, you see the white cross, but also this pink building. I don't know when it was constructed or if it was still there, but I do remember going there one night for an event. It may have been an event which was put on as a fan club president's event by Elvis Presley Enterprises. I seem to remember that's what it was, but other than that, I don't remember anything about it. The house itself was a flower shop for quite a long time. I remember going there with my friend Ian, and we went inside, and other than being a flower shop, it was mostly untouched. Ian made the point of using the toilet. After buying Circle G, it was hard to get Elvis off it, and in fact he delayed going to California to make clam bake. After getting married on the 1st of May, by the 4th he's back in Memphis and staying at Circle G. Eventually though, he sold it in May 1969. So that was my brief look at Elvis's homes in Memphis for this edition of the Memphis Chronicles. Thank you very much for watching. Please don't forget to like, share and subscribe.